The offensive line injuries have gotten the most attention, but the Kansas City Chiefs also suffered another key secondary injury against the Dallas Cowboys in Week 13, and there was good news on that front as KC heads into Week 14. With nickel/safety Christian Roland Wallace already missing in action, the Chiefs lost veteran starter Brian Cook to an ankle injury versus the Cowboys. Fortunately, it appears Cook avoided a major injury. Chiefs safety Brian Cook, who sprained his ankle Thursday versus Dallas, avoided a high ankle, per source. ESPN NFL insider Jeremy Fowler reported on November 29. Fowler added that Cook is still awaiting more info, but noted that this is a good early sign. Brian Cook has become an underrated Chiefs leader on the back end of the defense. If you include the playoffs, Cook has started a total of 45 games for Kansas City since entering the league as a second-round pick in 2022. His run as a full-time starter really began in 2023, as the Chiefs moved on from Juan Thornhill in free agency. Cook has always been known as a vocal leader of the secondary really since the tail end of his rookie season. He was drafted to help replace Tyrann Mathieu, and he's done an underrated job overall since joining the organization, contributing to 2 Super Bowl champion rosters and 1 runner-up in 2024. Cook missed the final stretch of the 2023 season with another ankle injury, so his departure from Chiefs-Cowboys may have felt eerily similar to some. His 2023 campaign ended with 12 starts, which is the same number of starts that he currently has in 2025. But this positive injury update news should alter the Chiefs' safety's prognosis this time around. While it's unclear if Cook will be back for the Week 14 matchup with the Houston Texans, it feels possible, based on Fowler's update. That's already a major step in the right direction, compared to 2023. Who would play in Week 14 if Brian Cook doesn't suit up for Chiefs? Cook's Week 14 injury status still appears to be TBD, despite avoiding a major injury. If the reliable starter does not suit up for the Chiefs in Week 14, expect a similar replacement plan to what we saw against the Cowboys. Veteran Mike Edwards was elevated from the practice squad for Week 13, and he ended up playing a total of 46 defensive snaps following Cook's departure. Ironically, a slightly younger Edwards also stepped in for Cook in 2023. So, he is clearly well-suited for the role. Expect Edwards to be elevated from the practice squad again versus the Texans if Cook is ruled out, but there's no guarantee that he'll start. Roland Wallace could return from injury in Week 14, and that would add another defensive back to the mix. With Roland Wallace sidelined against the Cowboys, safeties Shamari Connor and Jaden Hicks played more nickel. But if Roland Wallace is holding down the nickel role, it would allow Connor and Hicks to start at safety, potentially with Edwards as the next man up off the bench. This could be a better replacement plan for Cook should he miss time, as Edwards is getting older and should not necessarily be relied on as a full-time starter. We'll continue to monitor Chiefs injury news and updates leading up to Week 14. With all the twists and turns it's already taken, and the biggest of them still coming up, the saga of the Dallas Cowboys trading NFL All-Pro edge rusher Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers could end up a movie one day. Or, at the very least, a Netflix series. The latest twist came when Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said he first attempted to trade Parsons and a first-round pick to the New York Jets in exchange for defensive tackle Quinnen Williams and a first-round pick before making the deal with the Packers. The Cowboys eventually landed Williams, a 2-time NFL All-Pro, getting him from the Jets in exchange for a 2027 first-round pick, 2026 second-round pick, and defensive tackle and former first-round pick Motzie Smith. The Cowboys made that deal on the November 4th, the day of the NFL trade deadline, and have won 3 consecutive games since Williams joined the lineup to improve their record to 6-5-1. I thought that much of Williams, Jones said on 105.3 FM The Fan on Friday, November 28th. And he's showing what he can do. Jones said the deal with the Jets fell through because they didn't have the salary cap space to pay Parsons, who signed a 4-year, $186 million contract extension with the Packers on August 28. The deal with the Packers ended up being much better. Where the Cowboys would have given up a first-round pick and Parsons to get Williams from the Jets, they received 2 first-round picks along with Pro Bowl defensive tackle Kenny Clark from the Packers in exchange for Parsons. Cowboys, Packers both set up for epic finishes. Through 11 games, Parsons is third in the NFL with 12.5 sacks, and the Packers could very well be gearing up to play their best football down the stretch and are very much still Super Bowl contenders. The Cowboys seemed dead in the water after a loss to the Arizona Cardinals in Week 9 dropped them to 3-5-1 overall, but trades for Williams and Cincinnati Bengals linebacker Logan Wilson, as well as the return of linebacker DeMarvion Overshown from injury, has reinvigorated what was arguably the NFL's worst defense. Consecutive wins over the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs the last 2 weeks, last year's 2 Super Bowl teams, have put the Cowboys very much back into the playoff conversation. Reactions to Jones almost making disastrous trade. There are still plenty of people who think Jones and the Cowboys didn't get enough in return for Parsons, who is one of just 2 players in NFL history with 10-plus sacks in each of their first 5 seasons, along with NFL legend Reggie White. Imagine if Jones had been able to pull off the trade with the Jets where he actually gave up a first-round pick instead of getting 2 in return? Zero doubt that Jerry said this, SNY-TV's Connor Hughes wrote on his official X account. However, this was never actually offered to the Jets, I'm told. There was a conversation between owners. It was a brief one. A Cowboys source told me the Jets weren't ever going to the monetary value needed to extend Parsons, discussed this week too. Talks ended. A land where Jerry trades Micah and a 1 for Quinnen is amazing though. The Pittsburgh Steelers released a multiple-time Pro Bowl cornerback on Tuesday, and the Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, and Detroit Lions should be among the teams interested in his services. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Steelers and cornerback Darius Slay have mutually agreed to part ways. Slay signed a 1-year deal with Pittsburgh in the offseason and ended up not even lasting a full season with the team. Steelers and CB Darius Slay have mutually agreed to part ways, Slay's agents Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey told ESPN. Slay is interested in continuing to play and will consider signing with other teams. But his time in Pittsburgh has come to an end, Schefter reported. Slay hasn't had a great season in 2025, as the veteran has allowed a 70% completion rate while also surrendering 3 touchdowns and a 126.7 passer rating when targeted. However, Slay's 176-game starting experience over 13 years should attract a plethora of teams, especially contenders. The top 2 squads in the NFC East, Dallas and Philadelphia, immediately come to mind as potential landing spots for Slay. The Cowboys have been without Trayvon Diggs all year, and though the 2021 first-team All-Pro corner could return in Week 14, Dallas would be wise to add an insurance plan for Diggs and more depth in the position group. Though he's past his prime, Diggs would be a solid addition to Matt Eberflus' defense in Dallas. However, Philadelphia could also pursue a reunion with Slay, as the Eagles need to find an upgrade over Adoree' Jackson at the number 2 corner spot opposite Quinyon Mitchell. During his 5-year tenure in Philadelphia, Slay was selected to 3 Pro Bowls and played a key role in the Super Bowl 59 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. The Eagles and Cowboys are logical fits for Slay, but Detroit could also be a destination. Dan Campbell's squad just lost Terrion Arnold for the season due to shoulder surgery, so adding Slay to be Arnold's replacement would be a savvy move from general manager Brad Holmes. Philadelphia, Dallas, and Detroit all make sense for Slay, though the 34-year-old should have a somewhat competitive market if he makes it past waivers.